Testing. Testing.
It's got a delay, so I have to wait. And I can.
Testing. Can you hear my sound? Very good. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Cameron Peak virtual public meeting. My name is Lauren Maloney. I'm a public information officer with Northwest Incident Management Team 6. Tonight we will be offering presentations from 3 speakers, and then we will move into a question and answer session. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and also share with you an update that was provided to us by the Poudre Valley REA. Repairs are going better than expected. Crews were able to restore power along Pingree Park Road this afternoon. However, Monument Gulch will take a significant amount of additional work to restore power. Good progress has also been made on the transmission line feeding Highway 14. They anticipate that they will begin restoring power to portions of the Highway 14 corridor in the coming days. As long as it is safe, they will continue to have crews and extra contractors working until all power is restored. Poudre Valley REA members can find fire-related power restoration information and details on how to sign up for text and email alerts on their website at www.pvrea.coop. For specific questions, you can email communications@pvrea.coop. So now, the 3 presentations we'll have, I will first introduce to you our Deputy Incident Commander, Shane Thiel.
Good evening, everyone. Shane Thiel, Deputy IC, Northwest Team 6. I wanted to start out by recognizing not only the firefighters and the hard work they've been doing on this fire, but those who have been supporting them. Spread throughout the fire area, we have 5 different spike camps with over 900 personnel in those spike camps. We also have 2 forward operating bases in our main ICP here where we're doing this briefing for you folks. So with those 900 firefighters, we've got quite a few people, probably 70, 80 people supporting those folks every day, feeding them food, delivering them 2 meals a day, providing hot showers, and whatever other comforts we need out there. So I just wanted to recognize those folks and all the hard work they do. In a normal year, we'll have maybe a main fire camp and one extra camp, but due to COVID and mainly the size of this fire, we're spread out through the area. Current fire size, just for your information, is 129,055 acres. We're at 42% containment and 987 personnel. In the last 3-4 days, the weather's continued to be challenging. Starting Sunday night, we had the wind event into Monday, and now we're looking at really low RHs, high temps, and a high or low or atmospheric instability, so the potential for the fire to get large is still there. Also want to recognize the evacuees out there from the fires. As a predominantly Oregon incident management team, most of our folks are from Western Oregon. A lot of our team members we had to leave behind because they were impacted from the fires. Many lost homes, valuables, and are still evacuated. So with that, we know what you're going through. We feel your pain. the inconvenience of being evacuated, and we're working to get you folks back into your homes. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Shane. So now I'll invite up our Operations Section Chief Trainee, John Norton Jensen.
Good evening, Cameron Peak fire followers. I got a good update for you, so let's get right into it. We had a good day today. Real good day. With the higher winds and low RHs, it was super dry, but the winds tomorrow are going to be worse. The winds on Friday are going to be worse. So we had a good window of opportunity today to burn out some unburned fuels that are proximate to the line. We did this with a helicopter and folks on the ground. Let me show you where we did it. Folks who watch me in the mornings, my cheerful face, get to see all us talking about these unburned islands we have on the north end of the fire. This one in particular gave us a hard time. It gave us some challenges a couple nights ago when we had the Alpine Wave event. So today we used a helicopter to ignite a small amount of time in here to prevent, help reduce resource damage to the vegetation in the area, and hopefully down the road to the road itself, and also to secure this area from fire making runs at the houses on both sides of Highway 14. So we did that today with folks on the ground in the helicopter. They're out there right now mopping up around houses, and we'll be there all night. So we'll have engines in this area working with our folks at the County Sheriff Department as well. So working with our partners. Okay, number 2 area, if you remember my briefing this morning, was down here on the south end of the fire called Long Draw, right kind of north of Long Draw Reservoir. This map unfortunately has a division break right on top of the area, but that's okay. We'll go with this. So we had heat around all 3 sides. We had the 156 road kind of boxing it in. The last thing we want is to get a strong northwest wind and have this fire make a run down and threaten a high value at risk watershed, which was why we are here. So we used the helicopter to slowly ignite the high points in this area. We worked the fire down using firefighters on the ground and slowly brought it out to the road. It was around 900 acres or so. The good news is we thought it might take a day and a half, but we had such favorable winds, so the smoke was blowing interior, the spotting was blowing into the black, that we finished this in 1 operational shift. So we have folks out there watching the road now, but the helicopter is might be used to go take a look at it tomorrow, but from an aviation ignition standpoint, we're going to be wrapping things up in here today, which it's already happened. So those were the 2 areas that put out a lot of the smoke you guys were seeing down here on the I-25 corridor, and from the park, we had a pretty good smoke column going today. And why is that? We had a Haynes index of 6. What's that mean? It means we had really, really high atmospheric instability. So hot air rises super fast. So with hot air rising super fast, we got a big column super fast. On the north end, we had some these green islands continue to burn out, producing smoke. But I can tell you right now, after the end of today's shift, the lines are secure in all parts of the fire, that we have people on, we're trying to hold it in, and that we have a good plan for tomorrow. So what's the plan for tomorrow? So tomorrow we're going to have a red flag warning day for high winds, higher winds, low RH, and again that Haynes index of 6, which is not good for large fire growth. But we made a lot of good progress today on the north end today. With the slop we talked about the last couple mornings has good solid mechanical heavy machinery line around it. We have water coming in there, we have firefighters on the ground working it. But so the priority is still this north piece of line of hand line and dozer line is being worked heavily by firefighters on the ground. So tomorrow, that's still the plan. Our primary plan here is to keep this line and hold it. We have alternative and contingency lines as backups, but this line is our focus tomorrow, as well as Romeo patrolling. mopping up around homes in the black and outside the black, as well as Highway 14, patrolling that and working up here in the Sleeping Elephant Butte area, like we've been talking about, in the Connect. So we'll have folks there mopping up, securing, holding on to what we've done. Division Delta picked up another small spot today with Aviation, so tomorrow they're going to keep cruising south to get some more of that nice black line we want in our maps for containment. We got to keep pushing crews down and keep going direct and keep holding and securing that line as we work south. Division Alpha is going to hold and secure this burnout they did today. There's a lot of heat down there, but we have southwest and west winds tomorrow. Should be favorable, and hold and secure that as well. Down in Whiskey Zulu in the park, we'll have monitors in place to watch the Chapin area. And we'll have crews working on contingency lines in the park in case something did make a move to the south, which we don't anticipate at this time. Tanga Uniform. So Tanga Uniform, we're working on improving the structure protection plans at Pangri Park, as well as the subdivisions to the east. We're bringing in more equipment and supplies. We're also bringing in heavy machinery to start working on our PACE model, which is our alternative contingency and emergency plan. So we have lines, we're planning out indirect containment lines that are alternative and contingency down here, and we're moving more resources down here because the fire in Beaver was active today. It's a good bit into the wilderness. We use some aviation, but this fire is gonna be on the landscape. It's gonna show heat. It's gonna be there. So we have to make a good plan to make sure that if it comes out, we're ready for it. Okay, so that wraps up the plan for tomorrow. We expect aviation use on the north end to reinforce, potentially in the sleeping in this area near Connect, and potentially on the south end as well in Tango Uniform country. So we appreciate your interest, and we're happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Good update. John Norton Jensen. Good update. Now I'm going to invite up Captain Joe Shellhammer from the Larimer County Sheriff's Office.
Thanks, Lauren. Really good day out there today. A lot of good work's getting done. Some positive news. The folks in Glacier View got reduced from mandatory evacuation down to voluntary. So some people are getting back in there, getting back in their homes, which is super great news. Obviously, we're having more conversations about Red Feather and Crystal Lakes. We haven't forgot about you. We're trying to work through when it's the safest to get you back in there. A little more work has to get done. Like John talked about, weather's going to be pretty tricky with higher temperatures, not a lot of moisture. So we got to work through a couple more days, get a little more work done, and then we'll be able to get those folks back in there, hopefully sooner than later. And how are we getting there? We're getting there because the hard work of Team 6. One thing that they're really bringing to the table is aggressive firefighting. You heard about the aerial operations up in the canyon today. That's a tricky business, and they're willing to look at the risk and get after it and do a great job like they did today. We were really concerned about those homes that are up west of the fish hatchery on Highway 14 along Shetland, and the work that they did today, boy, makes those homes a lot safer. And as Deputy IC Shane was talking about, these are folks that come all the way from Oregon to come help us, and they got gigantic wildfires going on in their state and around their homes, and they picked themselves up. They're here for two weeks, and now we just heard hopefully they're getting extended for another week to help our communities, and that takes a lot, and we super appreciate it. We couldn't be more grateful to the team from Oregon, Team 6. Thanks.
Thank you, Captain Shellhammer. So now I'm going to take us into questions and answers from your questions on Facebook. And so the first group of questions will be posed to our Operations Section Chief Trainee, John Norton Jensen. So the first question that we have is, folks want to know a little bit more about the overall strategy in long draw.
Okay, that's a good question. So the overall strategy in long draw is to bring fire to a road where we can patrol it on a regular basis. The fire is up away from the road. It takes crews to hike in, it takes more resources and more time to check it. So if we bring fire or we're proactive about it and bring it to a road that can be patrolled with engine units, more mobile firefighters that can, we can use less people to patrol that area if we bring it to a road. It's easier to mop up. It's easier to get water to. If it's up in the hills, the only way to get water to it is with aviation or pumps, massive hose lays. So from an efficiency standpoint, because this team is going to leave eventually, we want to pass off a good product to the Arapaho Roosevelt National Forest, the Larimer County Sheriff. We want to make sure that we leave a product that is easier to patrol, to look after, and they're not spending a lot of time and money checking fire away from a road. Good question.
Thank you, John. So the next question is this: how much fire is in the already burned area? How mosaic is the burn?
Good question again. So interesting fact. So we Larimer County Fire Station number 2, just to the southeast here in Section 8, where my fire pointer is. We had an area there 2 days ago, put up a pretty large smoke column, which indicates that the fire is not entirely black. It has areas where it burns hot. It has areas where it burns not as hot. It has fuels it likes to burn, like lodgepole pine. There's aspen stands, which it might only burn on the surface fuels, but there's going to be pockets cleaning up. And the downside is it's going to push smoke up as this continues to clean up and burn. So throughout the fire, you can see the green pockets on the north end. There's going to be green pockets. There's going to be there's refuges for animals and wildlife, but they'll continue to burn if there's heat in those areas, and will produce smoke.
Thank you, John. I'm going to hit you with a couple more since they're coming in now. I think you already covered this, so I'll just ask you to do a brief recap. Explain why you chose to burn the unburnt area on long draw today versus mopping up the current perimeter.
Good deal. Good question again. So if you look at the map, it's over a mile into some pretty steep terrain. So sending crews in there is the only option we have. Crews are limited nationally as an available resource. A crew is a collection of 20 firefighters with a certain skill set. As we get more into October, crews become more scarce as time progresses. So any way we can patrol this on a road with less people and have water right to the fire edge is a lot better than hiking in 40 to 60 people a mile and a half through lodgepole, which is 50% dead, which could fall on them and injure them. So from a safety standpoint and from a containment standpoint, if we bring that fire to the road, our firefighters are exposed to less dead snags, as well as don't have to hike in as far in steep terrain, and we're more efficient by concentrating our efforts from the road with engines, pumps, water, and can safely contain that fire using that road with a black edge brought to it.
Thank you, John. Got just a few more for you.
A few more, I got you.
Is the black on the map in the north and northeast corner new containment or dozer hand lines?
So this is containment. This is a lot of dozer line which comes in because we map. Everywhere we put dozers on this fire, we map it and we report it to people called resource advisors. Resource advisors work for your local agency administrator, who is the district ranger here in the Arapaho Roosevelt National Forest. So they want to know where any kind of dozer lines going on in case there's some resource damage implications. So it's getting a little cluttered in here, but you got to remember, we have a lot of heavy machinery in here to secure this north line. So right here by Bel Air Lakes and south on the 163A road, we got some containment. We're working really close to it here on the kind of where the two fingers came together. That's burning together well. There's just too much heat right there now to contain it. We have folks working it every day, but it's so dry right now, we have giant logs burning down to a crisp. So it takes a lot of water and a lot of mop up to secure that area. But this section here by Bel Air Lake is contained. We're working towards it on the Foxtrot Lima Romeo north end. We'll get there. Just be patient with us and we'll keep mopping up and keep securing. And that's a good question though.
There appear to be several ongoing hotspots, flare-ups west of Joe Wright Reservoir, along the far west fire line previously noted as contained. That's a question.
Cool. Captain Joe, being a good partner, is going to help me out here with some local terminology.
So Joe Wright's way on the west end, almost to Jackson County, way down there. And that's super tough terrain to get in. And it's just kind of dangerous in there with all the beetle kill lodgepole that are in there. So it's pretty tricky in there, but it's kind of surrounded by ground that it can't really burn
Right.
in. So
Excellent. Thank you, Captain. I appreciate that. So, thanks. Division Alpha, which fire folks, we go by divisions. We learn local names. We get better at them. You watch me struggle with them in the mornings, but I'm getting better. I promise. So, by Alpha, there's some really high elevation country. We've flown this. We've looked at it. We patrolled it. There's just some areas of heat that are lower priority than, say, the North Line, or Long Draw, or Tangle Uniform countries. We only have so many resources. We got a good plan for the resources we have. We're gonna get there. We'll get there, but we just gotta deal with some higher spread potential areas first before we get there. And we're well aware of those areas. We've flown them, we've seen them. There is some heat on the line, and we'll get to them. But we have some higher priority areas in the fire we gotta put resources on first. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Okay, one last question for the moment,
Do you
maybe more.
Do you promise?
For the moment, I will
Okay.
let you sit back down. So the question is, any plan for Sunday? Very high winds bringing in the change in weather? Question mark.
So we have, working for the IC and the deputy IC, their commitment is the firefighters on the ground. So we have a plan in place in case we have a certain amount of snow forecasted. We're going to pull firefighters into a place that is better for them. So that's one of the plans we have in place. High winds, we have things called trigger points. So if you're not in a bulldozer's got a hard cab, right? So if a tree falls in the bulldozer, it's not the best, but the operator is protected. Our folks on the ground just have hard hats. Hard hats and trees don't mix too well. They help. It's better than wearing nothing, right? So we have trigger points with high winds. So if the winds get over a certain velocity, we're going to pull people out of those areas and be more defensive and make sure our overhead hazards, because the number one priority is public and firefighter safety. So with those high winds and potential for some nasty weather, we have plans in place to take care of our firefighters and communicate that to our partners. Thanks.
Thank you, John. We might invite you back up, but that's great
ma'am.
for now. So next I'm inviting up Captain Shellhammer. Thanks for coming back up. So people are asking a lot about changes in mandatory evacuations in other areas. Could you talk a little bit more about Red Feather Highlands, Crystal Lakes, and Glen Echo Rustic?
Yep. All those areas we're talking about every day. We're going out and walking the ground, see what's going on, what the fire behavior's like, and trying to weigh out the risk to bringing people in there, or the danger of bringing people in there. If you look Red Feather and you look at these lines and look how close it is, you're talking 1.5 miles, 2 miles. And if you remember, back not very, very many weeks ago, we had a 12-mile run, right? So we have to be super careful when we get 1,000 people back in here on how we're going to get them out. If the wind comes on Sunday and they're 40-mile-an-hour gusts and we don't get any precipitation, how is all that going to work? So we're trying to get out ahead of those things and make the best decisions we can and the safest decisions. So that would be for Crystal and Red Feather. And the other issue with Crystal and Red Feather is a 170,000 acre fire just north of them. Yes, it's 15, 20 miles away, but still, that's another consideration and another team that we have to talk to every day and figure out what's going on with that fire. And the last I looked this morning when I talked to the ops folks up on the Mullen fire, we're at 14% containment, and none of it is on on the southern end of that fire, where it's closest to Crystal and Red Feather. So huge concerns there. So these are all things we got to consider. The stuff down at Glen Echo on the Highway 414 corridor, we had extreme fire behavior on Monday. So there's still a lot of pockets of fire in there. So we need to be super cautious and concerned about those areas before we bring people in, and then have to, if something changes, we have to get them out of there again. And that puts a lot more people at risk, and we want to make really, really good decisions with that.
Thank you, Captain. That was very helpful. Next, I'm going to invite up Deputy Incident Commander Shane Thiel. So Shane, the question is, why do you bring in teams for 2 weeks, then after they're off for 2 weeks, they get assigned to a different fire? Why not bring them back to a fire they are already familiar with?
So the standard deployment for an incident management team or any fire resource for that is 14 days. And then you have the option to extend to 21 days if it's critical for the needs. The incident management team before us extended for 21 days. Looks like Northwest Team 6 will be extending for 21 days as well. We're still short on a few critical resources, but once we get those filled, it'll be locked in that we're here for 21 days. The reason they don't come back is incident management team after their 14-day deployment takes 2 days off, called rest and recreation, R&R, and then we go back into the system. So in the meantime for that, another incident management team would have taken this fire. So it's a rotation deal. Each geographic area, like the Pacific Northwest, the Southwest, the Rocky Mountains, each of those geographic areas has their own incident management teams they pull from, usually 4 or 5 incident management teams. So those teams typically rotate through the geographic areas, and it happened that you guys got an Oregon team, and we're happy to be here.
Thank you, Shane. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So that will conclude our question and answer portion of our session tonight. I see that there's a few other questions on Facebook that are being responded to in real time, but that is a good sampling of the expertise here from our presenters. So I just want to leave you with one final thought tonight. I mentioned during our meeting on Monday evening that this week is National Fire Prevention Week, and I just want to remind folks that, as you've heard on all of the presentations, it's hot out, it's dry out, relative humidities are really low, atmospheric instability is high, conditions are ripe for new wildfires to start. I heard of a couple starting here within the state today. And so I want to remind people that we are in beautiful country. You know it, we hear from you every day how much you love the land here. So please, take extra care as you head out to recreate, hunt, fish, whatever it is you're doing out there. Please avoid making any kind of a spark that could start a wildfire and stretch resources. We want to protect Colorado. We're happy to be here, and we want your home to be safe. So with that, just a reminder from Smokey Bear, only you can prevent wildfires. Good night.